Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's lair. I'm your host, Larry, the most delectable Chupacabra man, and we're back to pick up on some more great Android games here on the channel today. I've just managed to finally get my phone to a state where I can actually record games again, and we're going to be starting out with AcroSplat by AppStreet Games, which is a puzzle sort of platforming game that involves jumping and diving and ducking and dodging and solving strange splattery puzzles as a group of living paint splotches or paint droplets, or I don't know, but we're a bunch of magical living paint, and we're going to go on a magical adventure. And I'd just like to give a shout out to Jupiter Hadley, who referred the AppStreet Games folks to me for this delicious little video preview. So let's start out with our little adventure by checking out the game's cinematic, where we learn all about our lovable little characters who are in fact a group of living paint droplets. And their dream is none other than to hop out of these paint cans from this tool shed and run away and join the circus as gallivanting performers. And that's what our job is. We're trying to help them get away from this tool shed, and I really mean away from this tool shed. We get outside into our owner's yard, getting past moles and balls, and climbing up into his house, escaping the smartphone and the cat. Mr. Whiskers is probably the end boss of this game, I'll be completely honest with you. And eventually we slither and slime and slop our way all the way through this construction site, and hopefully eventually becoming world-famous performers. And this game has like over 120 levels already, and as a $3 title, that is a fair amount for your gaming pleasure. And that's not something I can say very often for a lot of mobile games that are really just about trying to suck the dollars out of you, so that's a nice change of pace for this game. So let's just start exploring the mechanics of this game with the first level. So basically the way that this works is we have a bunch of little paint droplets climbing around on ropes, and it's our job to slingshot them like they're made out of living rubber bands into the paint can, which is their home and eventual ticket to fame and fortune. If not exciting adventure. Probably mostly the exciting adventure. I don't know a lot of paint splotches that have gone on to be, Hollywood actors, but I could be wrong. That might explain what Shia LaBeouf has been doing these last few years. And then once we get all of our, the goal splotches into the paint pail, we are good to go. Now, there are some deeper mechanics to this that make it a little bit more challenging. The first one is that each level has upwards of 3 stars that you can get in order to reach the highest score possible. Sometimes the stars are just out of reach because you did the mechanics in the wrong order, and sometimes some of the obstacles in the level itself will literally destroy them before you can get your hands on them. Now, this particular level is a little bit different in that this one is going to require us to actually color the paint using 2 paint splotches, which I just killed one of them by mistake, before we can put in the orange paint splotch, and that's the victory condition. So to do that, we need to get these other 2 paint splotches safely into the bucket, and red plus yellow equals orange, which will then allow our orange friend to go into the paint bucket. Now, it is a little easier than that, I will admit, but you don't necessarily have to go the easy route. You could just directly put the orange guy into the bucket, but where's the fun in that? Like, I want to maximize my point threshold, or my point yield here, so I'm going to try and do just that by getting all of my stars, all of my little paint buddies inside the bucket, and then we'll put Mr. Orange in. There we go. And this is an interesting game. Like, I'm not used to really enjoying a lot of cutesy puzzle games, but I thought this was pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised. So this particular level introduces a new challenge that they don't specifically explain to you till later. You might notice that up here at the top of the screen, and down here in front of the paint pail, there's actually a wooden dowel blocking our path. So if we try to shoot our little friend through there, it actually kills him, as opposed to letting him fly towards victory. But have no fear, as oddly macabre as it is, you can actually just propel your little paint friends through the blood and gore of their comrades to victory. And then you actually get some extra points if you use the most minimal number of paint splotches to reach victory, as opposed to using all of them. So you don't have to use all of them. Why would you leave your friends behind? Because if your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then your show at the circus is going to be lame. So yeah, you can get extra points if you use just a couple of paint splotches and ignore the rest while getting some points. So similarly here, we only have blue paint splotches to worry about. So we'll just kill one of them in order to try and make it so that we can reach the end bucket. And we'll also try to get these little stars on the way. And this is a good example of what kind of drives me nuts about this game occasionally, is that depending on where you put your fingers and the angle to the surface that you're aiming for, the path that the little paint splotches travel through can be a little bit weird and wibbly wobbly. Like, it starts to glitch out if you're just not the absolute perfect angle to the surface that your little paint droplets start on, and it makes controlling them rather difficult. So, like right here, I'm trying, as you see with my finger, to point it at a really nice location to get through that little wooden dowel, but no matter what I do over here, it just doesn't want to behave itself. So I have to wait and go down a little further before it will reach the end goal. I mean, it's not a big problem, but I have a lot of issues when, like, a critter is near the edge of my screen. I'm playing on a Nexus 5 smartphone, and it makes it very difficult to aim on some of the levels. So I feel like if I had one major piece of constructive feedback, it would be try to refine the motion controls for aiming your little slingshot, and this game would be pretty much good to go. And the other thing that they've gotten here is they also have lots of fun pop culture references, like instead of Deadpool, it's our wonderful savior, Redpool. Not to be confused with Magenta Pool, who, I mean, we're not necessarily enemies, but we're not super friends. He keeps trying to paint my house that sort of off ochre red color, and I'm not the biggest fan of that, I'll be completely honest. So there's lots of nice little touches in this game that really make it come to life. Like, all the little critters have their own personality. There's the little cinematics that go throughout it. Again, the only thing I have an issue with is some of the touch controls are just ever so slightly annoying and don't really seem to behave themselves that well. So here's another example of color mixing. So we have to get through this wooden blockage, but the only way that we can do that is by impaling our little paint droplet pals on the wood. So in order to get the orange drop through, you have to combine two other droplets that will gloriously sacrifice themselves for the betterment of all paint kind, and mix to form a purple skid mark, not a purple, an orange skid mark, so that our heroes can escape. So let's see here. We need to get the green into the paint can, so we need to mix yellow with blue in order to do that. So let's first make a path for our yellow friend to escape through, and then I'm going to try to angle this little green guy so that that didn't quite do what I wanted. I want to angle one of these little green guys to kill himself exactly into the center of this little splotch here, this little corner. And if I do this correctly, it will enable me to, with the maximum or the minimum number of little paint splotches, get through here and get all of the stars. So let's try to get this one. Can I get this? Come on, behave yourself, Splotchy. I believe in you, Splotchy. Why would you do this? I thought we were friends. Well, either way, we can get through with only using one little paint droplet. We can get through this corner without having to kill any extra paint guys. And it's always good to be efficient with your materials. I mean, that just goes without saying. How the heck am I oh, there it goes. How the heck am I supposed to get this guy? And we'll just put you through here. Perfect. And then last but certainly not least, the little yellow guys will be able to escape, and we will all go back to Valhalla together. Now, if I'm not careful, I can just put these little green guys in there immediately. Oops, and now I just created brown. I can put the little green guy in immediately, and then these other guys will just remain trapped here for all time. Like they're stuck in some sort of paint tool shed purgatory. Unfortunately, these guys still want to get in here, and I don't think this is going to work right if I'm not careful. Yeah, now it turned into poop brown, so you gotta be careful. But that, basically in a nutshell, is AcroSplat. It's a game that combines physics with some, I'd say, tightrope walking platforming mechanics to reach the eventual goal of getting to the circus with our cute little paint splotch pals. But you gotta be careful, because all is not well and safe inside of Paint Town, because, well, this is somebody's garage or tool shed. Like, they've got all sorts of deadly machines in here that might pose a problem. Also, Breaking Bad reference, my favorite so far. And so this is that mechanic I was talking about before. This is where you actually have to do some tight clutch maneuvers if you want to get all of the stars before this little saw murders them. So let's try to do that here. Let's do that right here. And then I'll try to get this one. And there we go. Perfect. Just in the nick of time before this evil saw blade can destroy them. Now, this level, it's kind of messes with you a little bit, because as you notice, when I pull back on this character, like, the camera zooms in a bit, and it makes it somewhat difficult to grab your character and aim it because your little finger pointer is near the edge of the screen. And again, the edge of the screen kind of messes with your ability to aim. And I almost think this game might work a little bit better if it was in landscape mode as opposed to portrait mode, but maybe that's just my own personal preference. But that's probably my only major gripe so far, is the combination of the, like, touch controls mixed with some of the camera motions and all that stuff. But yeah, so this has been AcroSplat. If you're interested in trying this game out for yourselves at home, it's available on the Android platform. It's $2.99 or $3, and you get over 120 levels, with more coming in the future, and they ramp up at a nice pace. Like, this game is constantly throwing new stuff at you, it's constantly throwing new ideas at you, and also some power-ups that I haven't used a lot of yet. And yeah, I like it. It does a nice job. So, very nice job, App Street Games. I fully recommend this title for people at home. If you're interested in picking this up for yourself, it comes with little hints and other little power-ups that you can use. And I think it's well worth that $3. Because, I mean, nowadays, there's so many games out there that are freemium, that are constantly trying to suck your money out of you, that sometimes it's just a pain in the booty. But this one doesn't do that. You just get 120 levels, $3, $2.99, and you're good to go. So check this out for yourselves. I've been your host, Larry. This has been AcroSplat by App Street Games. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys and gals next time. Have a good one, everybody, and toodaloo!